let's try this. Gotta do some settings and stuff. Hello, Lurip. How's it going? Let's see. Remove topic. That shouldn't be happy birthday code. It should be. That is number 3, I think. Hey, Kuru. I'm good. I'm good. Just don't want to be shouting too loudly. Good evening. So, passenger, set up Google Hangout, and I've had a look at settings, and I think I need to raise the desktop audio, but that means all the notifications will be louder as well. So I don't know, but we'll see what happens. Maybe I can switch off the notifications. Actually, I could probably set that up now. Lower the volume of them. What, is not connected? Okay, let's see. Alert box. Follows. Alert settings, maybe. Delay. No. Follows sound volume. 15% only. Let's try this out with the Google Hangouts. So that the other people can judge if it's good volume or not. I'm thinking, yeah, we'll see what happens. So say something, Dennis, and I'll do some settings.
Hello, hello, testing, testing. How are you?
But the thing is, I hear you fine.
I put out the volume of Twitch, so I can hear you fine as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, then we need other people to confirm if they can hear me as well.
Yeah. But this is so weird. Now, you have to mute the stream, by the way. I can hear me.
I have the Twitch muted already.
Alright, that's good. But, where did that go now? It's weird.
Testing, 1 2 1 2. Hello, everybody.
It's like when I right-clicked the stream window, like the window capture, I got set. Okay, there we go. Okay, let's try this. Say something now.
Now, say something.
Yeah, they should have it louder now, I think.
Maybe somebody in the chat can confirm. Can you hear me? Hello.
Let's see. Hey,
What's
Sarah.
up?
Should Dennis be louder?
I can try to scream,
No,
but
no, you don't. You shouldn't scream. I'm asking if I need to increase the volume more. I can boost it more.
I am
It's
I'm improving every week, guys. Maybe it's a confidence thing, you know.
yeah. Well, Atsuki and Lurib and Kuru, is my sound level same as his? You have to say something, Dennis.
Hello, say something. Is my level the same as Bjorn's?
All right. They say maybe 10% more. Let's do one more and see.
Let's do one more test. Testing. 1, 2. Yay! I'm much louder. People actually gonna think that I'm some dude screaming all the time.
Maybe it became. Maybe is it good now? Is it equal? People in the chat, is it equal?
I'm even too loud now. That's the first that I heard that.
All right, let's lower it then, because you could just only go raise by 1.
Okie dokie. And where are you changing the settings now then?
In open broadcast, this
Okay.
software. I'm just hoping. I just hope that now that I increase the desktop volume, any follow or host, when you see him dancing, won't blow everyone's ears off.
It's gonna be like super loud. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll have to see. Somebody start following. Wake up the family.
Yeah, smack that follow button and let's all lose the ability to hear. All right. Well, good thing that figured that out. Hey, Mr. Punka. All right. So maybe just let's get on with
Wow, now actually people can hear what I say, so I have to think about what I say. That's the first.
yeah. So maybe you can explain the challenge this time.
Let's see. The challenge number 3 was called an unexpected conjuring. And the little story everybody got to design their image with was, while trying to brew a cure for the sick villagers, the old shaman accidentally conjured the evil forest spirits who had been haunting the tribe many years ago. This time they brought a special gift. So it's about a shaman being visited by forest spirits. Ooh, it's a difficult word to say.
All right.
And we had our usual members entering. Good to see people taking part again. But also curious to see what the other people on the Discord could come up with. So I encourage the other people to join in as well. So we get even more variety in the uploads.
Yeah, definitely. So Mr. Panka says he didn't finish it. So I'm looking at Mr. Pankas now.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a cool image. The only problem I see is the sense of scale, even though we have him looking up at them. I mean, if you would just change directly, like without repainting the whole scene, I would probably tweak it a little bit more so that it becomes a 3-point perspective. 3-point perspective, as you probably know, is the classic 1 point or on the horizon line, 1 point on the horizon line there, right? So you make a cube, you draw each side of the cube to each point, right? So that's a 2-point perspective. But with a 3-point, it's height, so that you draw the sides of the box up to the 3rd point, and that way you can determine height. correctly. Like you're skewing the perspective, like so it sense of height is clearer. And in Mr. Pankas, the horizon line, right, is like it's horizontal. We're at the eye height of the guy, and all the things are becoming very flat. Like we're seeing them dead on, like the ellipse of the pot. We should see more underneath. We should maybe have hints of the cylinder and so on. But I skewed the perspective, so it's even more clearer that um, we're looking up at them, so they become more dominant.
I think he had some thumbnails uploaded before in black and white, and from those I kind of got the idea that the shaman was in some sort of a tent with the spirits surrounding him, basically.
Mm.
So with this perspective, that would actually enforce that idea quite a bit.
Yeah, it would be a lot more dominant, and in that case, if they would be in a tent, you can throw the cast shadow much darker and more foreboding of the spirits on the back of the tent. And another thing I think is not helping is the vertical line of the candles in the background. They don't help anything with the guy there. It
I
becomes
was thinking before that maybe it would be cool that if you could just see the canvas and then the silhouettes of the spirits kind of projected on those, that he's inside the tent himself, and then outside through the light, basically, you see the silhouettes of the spirits.
mm,
That was actually the direction I believed he was going in with the thumbnails, where
right.
this is more like a gathering where they're all inside, basically.
Mm. So you mean that they would be outside and you would only catch the silhouette of them?
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, and obviously I think um, the light is a little bit as Mr. Panka wasn't finished. It's I think it's clear to say that you could push the light even further than what Mr. Panka had submitted. That it was a good start, but it needs to be um, more put together. And I think the palette is a little bit too wide. Like the blue goes to almost pure blue, and like this purple blue and normal blue and pink and green. Uh, you can see the palette around the central character and the tentacle things. They are starting to become more like together.
Hmm.
It's just a matter of I think reducing the amount of blue would help.
I think maybe Mr. Panka can share if was he meant to make like an interior or an exterior with this painting,
I think it's an interior.
right? That's the idea I got from it as well. So,
Mm. But it's true. It might not be meant as an interior. We should get him on.
yeah, I think he's in the chat now. Maybe he can let us know. Everybody's inside.
Yeah, we should set that up at least for definitely for next time. And maybe we could do that even now, but it would delay even further.
I mean, like, just throw everybody in the hangout and
Yeah,
let the artist comment on their work. Yeah, that would definitely be cool. By the way, I tried to put everybody's name on the images, so during the stream that is visible. I just only now learned that I have to put it on the right side next time, so it's better readable in the street.
Yeah, yeah, I noticed that too. I didn't want to rain on your parade.
It's all work in progress. Figured it was a good way to show people's name while their work is being shown.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think was a great idea.
That way, everybody gets a little bit of promotion as well.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It's cool pieces of art that everyone's doing. And here, I think Mr. Panka wanted to show this gift, right? If I'm not mistaken. They were holding it in their hand there. Whoa, what's happening? My RAM didn't want to.
Too massive of an image.
Mm.
I'm thinking, by the way, I got a new challenge topic ready. I can post that tonight. Are we going to run it for Saturday in 2 weeks then?
Yeah.
And then we actually cut people short with 2 working days, but that adds to the deadline pressure. Just like in a real studio, if something happened, we had to work on other stuff, and now you only have like 12 days to finish the next challenge.
Yeah, but they had 2 days extra today, so
It's a
well,
little give and take.
yeah, exactly.
Okay, then I'll be posting the new challenge right after this stream, so everybody can get busy for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, definitely. Do you have any ideas on the topic?
Yes, let me see, what did I write down? Yep, it's going to be both for environment and character artist. Try to come up with a topic that could be both. People can focus on an environment or on a big scene or on individual characters. I think the new topic is open for that.
That's great. Mr. Panka said that he has a more worked up version, by the way. So let's have a look at the Discord. All right. Yeah, he has definitely made it more advanced.
Let's have a look. Ah, yes, I see.
He has a version with lots of tentacles and a version without tentacles, which would be that one.
Yeah, it's a really good update from the image we were looking at.
Yeah, definitely. He's definitely putting more effort into the light and shadows and so on. I think his updated version with the alien mask or worms, I guess. Uh, I think it's a bit too washed out. There's not too clear separation of volume. Um,
You mean they're kind of in the same color and value range, basically?
yeah, exactly. This all it becomes a bit washed out, and there's not enough contrast in the sense of what's being hit by light and what's in shadow. You can start to see it in the guy's face and on the lower part of the evil spirits, but the rest is very hidden or subtle. I mean, obviously, this version is far from his current work in progress, but is as he said, the same principles still apply. His version is still very well. That was next person. Yeah, like he was it? No, it wasn't that one. That one. he still has that straight perspective, and we don't really get a sense of scale of the bad spirits. Yeah, snake body with insects heads. Yeah.
I really like the mood of the new update. Has
Hmm.
a cool, mysterious vibe to it that
Yeah.
worked out really well.
Yeah, I think what's really good with it, it's that's warm candles and cold light, um, or like this cold green and warm candles in the background. It will help. Um, it helps separate them further, which is great. So let's try to get some cool. Of course, it wasn't a clear. Let's try this one. Nope.
I think it would make a lot of difference if the red. I like the red one there.
Mm. I just wanted to like separate the warm from. He had this sick green, and in the background with warm candles, it really helped to like separate them. The sense of depth.
Using the complementary colors for the
Yeah,
contrast changes.
yeah. A lot more play with depth that way, because in this version, um, the more updated version, you could with the candle lights you could play with silhouettes more. And if everything is lit by candles, for example, it'll be a lot harder to separate what's what. So now with candle lights, we can push things turning backwards into the depth of the tent, and other things push forward into the foreground with this strange blue conjuring magic.
Yeah, and I would also definitely consider to make the background a lot more, not as busy as it is now. There's quite a
Mm.
lot going on, which as we look in the background, what's going on there, and I cannot really see defined shape, so I don't get any additional information.
Yeah,
And I think with a more neutral background color, you could also bring out the silhouettes of the spirits a little bit better.
yeah. And I think again, it's a play with temperature. I think would help a lot. Just make it more bathing in candlelight, so it's clearer what's behind and what's in front. And in that way, you can also subdue some of the high contrast, so that these snakes can be cold.
So the foreground is this warm, this blue, greenish, mysterious vibe, and then the
Yeah,
background is the warm,
yeah,
reddish
yeah. Comfortable,
environment.
comfortable, relaxing red. I think that would help a lot with reading the scene.
I like the face of the upwards looking shaman a lot. Reminds me a lot of the Mexican masks and statues a lot. So it's kind of,
Mm.
it really has that shaman feel to it, basically.
I think, yeah, definitely. I think the light could be improved though. The it's too evenly lit. The what's it called? The eyebrows, the underneath the eyebrows. They became two objects rather than him looking up in an angle and them being lit. unevenly. You know, the more even they are, the more not like eyebrows they feel, because it's if you just you look up straight up, it's really hard to get perfectly even light on each side of the face. You know, unless you really try. And if you manage, it won't look interesting anyways. So
You have to be really centered above the light then, basically.
yeah, so the best is to just try to figure out like a nice offset of it, so that you can see the light in a way which helps the scene more, rather than just he's lit exactly from underneath.
You're kind of now directing the light from the bottom to the right more.
Yeah.
And then you can also dictate that to the other shapes in the scene, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I also think that maybe some hard lines, hard contrast lines on the foreground character could help to bring him a little bit more in the foreground, and then have the characters soften so they appear a little bit more distant from him anyway.
Yeah, like I did on the previous version. I used a soft light on top to kind of just boost what's already there, so that he becomes in the foreground more. He becomes the center focus. And I think, like I said, the vertical line here is like I painted away on the previous version. It's not really helping. It has to be not a stacked row of candles. And also the uh, the third point, 3-point perspective thing. Whoa. So they feel intimidating, like towering above him.
More imposing that way.
Yeah. Oh, I hate that. Like when you grab a corner, it's somewhat close to the corner of the canvas or the screen, and it just scrolls like crazy.
Looking at it longer, I think that I just said the background is a little bit busy and the characters could be more defined, but it could also be like this psychedelic color sea, basically, where you can only vaguely make out the spirits. Kind of works as an abstract background as well.
Yeah, but I think it's for the sense of being able to be read as a picture. It has to have a little bit more like readability, at least. Just pick shapes out. But it's a good point. Okay, maybe next person.
Yep, so I think softening the background, working on the 3-point perspective, bringing out the silhouettes of the character in the back a little bit more.
Yeah, and playing with the cold light versus warm light to help layer the scene, so that we can see each part more clear, even though they can be like vaguely lit. As long as there's a relationship between warm and cold, it will be easier to figure out like what's happening.
Cool stuff. Yeah, it was cool to see the update from the previous version to this one. Big difference.
Yeah. It was Mr. Panka. It's really cool.
Yep, good job. Cool
Okay,
stuff.
that was my crazy attempt. There was the paint over from his first upload. But it's cool to see the progress. Alright, so here's Sayarts. So let's put it like that so we can see it better. I really like it. I think it's has a nice poster feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing that irks me is that he's not centered. While these they're almost centered, and it just becomes like a point of like frustration almost for me. It would be so much nicer if he would be a lot more centered. Would make a lot more sense as a composition.
Really to enhance that illustration feel. Normally, you would like to have them on thirds or something if you would go for a wider image, but because all of the rest of the image is so centered, it
Yeah,
kind of needs to be centered as well, you mean?
yeah. Or if you don't want to have it centered, you have to give it a reason not to be centered.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in a picture, if he wants it to be this off-centered, maybe he needs something stronger like that, some magic swooshing around, um, you know, so that we draw our eyes towards this way and then up like that. But then you need to he need to have worked more on guiding the eye around the painting so that it works off center.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's not, then he has to move it to the side. If you ask me.
Yep, yeah, and considering the other characters, it would indeed be cool to have them fully centered here.
Yeah. I think the left face is really well rendered, and I think it's great that he's pushed the perspective of the head quite a lot. That we see underneath, from underneath, you know,
Mm-hmm.
the head is looking. We're looking up at the head, while the head on the right, we're looking a lot more at the same eye level, and I think it ruins the illusion a bit. I think.
They would either be both looking down or both looking up.
Yeah, they should. I think they should both, you know, look down at the 30-minute warm-up samurai. We should see the underside of the nose as well, and the same principle here with the eyebrows and so on. That it's really doesn't help the picture to have very balanced light when it's equal on both sides. I know myself, I fall victim to that many times. Like, you just want to try to render it perfect. And a lot of times, the imperfect kind of way of approaching it, but staying consistent with the light source is a lot more interesting and feels more natural when the light source is not perfectly even across everything.
Create an interesting disbalance.
Yeah. And of course, you can set that up yourself of how you want it, and it can aid your painting. But one thing also, I like that he used blue and green for what's it called? The name escapes me. The bounce light kind of, not bounce light, but like if you're indirect light, like if you're in the shadow, you get lit by bounce light, but not bounce light, but oh, whatever. The the part of the shadow that's being lit by the sky, like global illumination, I think it's called.
The ambient occlusion, or
No, I don't know. The word escapes me. Ambient occlusion is not really that. It's the where it becomes shadow, where the light doesn't reach. It's not the same. Oh well, you know what I mean. You see here on the head, each side pointing away from the light source, but up towards the sky is being lit with gray, and all the points of pointing down towards the magic is being lit with kind of pink. Um, so it's like the indirect. I don't know. I don't remember what it's called. Ambient.
works for me. Ambient light.
Yeah, I think so.
Like he's posted a couple of steps of this image, and I think one thing that worked out really well was unifying the scene in those in this color palette he used now.
Mm.
Because before it was the three spirits each had their own rendering and their own colors and everything, and he brought it much more together by making it this blue and yellow complementary mix, basically.
Oh, definitely. I think it helped a lot, and it made it a lot more harmonious and readable.
And also pushing those spirits back more, made them more like mysterious, and really put the foreground character mid-center and in all attention. So that worked out well as because before there was like the three characters and the main character were competing for attention. While now it's much more clear that he's basically he's the main focal point with them in the background.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I think
definitely.
he could even push the two outer ones back a little bit more, or bring the middle one up a little bit further so that he's more visible. But I
Yeah,
think pushing them back on the side would work best and also make it more mysterious that way.
yeah, I think so too. I think what's really cool um, with the background character in the middle is is the way that the shadows disappear.
The low contrast, basically.
Yeah,
I would just drown that in some blue, those other two characters with some low opacity. Yeah.
I just need to find the. It'll be this messy.
And bonus points for the logo on the backside of the.
Yeah, the 30-minute warm-up back logo. It's great. I think one thing, like I mentioned though before, was the magic around him is really nice. It creates this swirling effect, but then I think he hooks too many magics around, like uh, fishing hooks, upside down fishing hooks, and it nukes the swirl, right? You want it to feel like a shield, a constant flow of a shield, right? That's what he's doing.
Mhm.
I guess a shield or some sort of sphere. What's important is that you can of course have surface swirls and so on, but a lot of his surface swirls are um, not following like the shape of the sphere. They just become noise. And I would treat it a lot more like the surface of a planet. You know, like the closer to the sides of the sphere they get, the more they get squeezed together and wrap around the volume. So that when the magic comes closer to the edge, we see it wrap around, and it will create this a lot more spherical feel.
Hmm.
Otherwise, it's just going to feel like a painted picture in front. You know, that's not an actual physical thing that he's conjuring.
Following the 3D shape more, indicating it.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
like you would render out a basic sphere.
Yeah, and you can of course, you know, design it so it looks like the way you want it to look like it's swirling a specific direction, or having this subtle surface swirls, uh, like chaotic swirls and all these things. But they need to follow the actual structure of or the spherical aspect of the circle he's summoning. Or if it's not, then he needs to show that as well. But he's showing it with these points of light kind of going out of the sphere. So it has to be that way.
Yeah, it's a really cool magical scene created. That works really well.
Yeah, and I really like that he used this strong pink, purple here on the side, and I think if you would boost it closer to the main character and not having it so strong in the background, you'll help separate the samurai um, from the background monsters, so that they don't sit at the same plane too much.
That's a cool effect surrounding it. Kilrati is mentioning that there is a big tangent with the sword and the chin of the right character. There's
Sorry, what? Oh, yeah, the sword there. You mean the tangent?
the tip of the sword and the tip of the chin, basically.
Yeah, but I think that's my doing. Let's see. Let's see the original. Oh, the original had it as well. Yeah, so either have it out on top over her, or the other way around.
That must be gratifying for Kilrati. I know how that is when you see something and it itches you. You're like, ah.
Yeah, and I also think for Sayart, he uh, he has rendered the cloth hanging straight down, and always when you do that, it removes motion, like implied motion. So it would be a lot better to try to indicate that he is, you know, in motion, that he's not static. I think it's always a lot more interesting when.
I was thinking maybe he could have some like some rope around him, or maybe some patches or something that swing in the air. That really could enhance the motion as well.
Yeah, I think.
Small satchel or something on his.
Yeah, definitely. I think he's a little bit too plain, so something is definitely needed. You know, maybe it's a belt, maybe it's a uh, what are they called? Those half blades that the samurais used. Uh, they always had two sets, one full length and one kind of half or quarter. The name eludes me. There's probably some samurai uh, buff that knows exact name and length and dimensions. But I did some work for Shogun too, and they always had two different lengths of samurai swords.
Good stuff from the visual library.
Yeah, it was called something specific, but I don't remember what it's called. With a Google, I'll probably find out. Uh, hey, Tibor, welcome. Yeah, the whole idea is very cool. It feels like a poster to some sort of, like Kilrathi said, like a 80s vibe to it. It definitely has a 80s vibe to it, like samurai magic. It's not a very common theme anymore, but I think it's a cool feeling to it, and I think it's definitely a very good image from Sayart.
Hmm.
Definitely stepped up, um, especially on the woman on the left. Woman on the right became too static. The guy, the monster in the middle, is really cool. I think he just the problem with him is that he lit the teeth too evenly, and then they become static and they become also objects of themselves rather than a part of the scene. Um, they get too much specific attention in the way that they're mirrored to each other.
Hmm. Break the balance a little bit more, makes it more exciting.
Yeah, yeah, and also more natural. No teeth are perfectly aligned. You know, they should have some imperfections. And I also added, I don't know if you noticed, but some lighter blue uh, around the head of the central monster, just to help him be separated a bit more. I don't know how well the quality comes across on the stream, but you should be able to see it a bit. It always compresses a little bit on the stream, the
I also
subtlety.
really dig that hint of purple on the top of the light. Really gives it that magic glow, so to say.
Yeah, a little bit help to separate. Uh, but yeah, they could these monsters can even have themselves magic around them. You know, the sense that maybe some sort of red, pink, uh, flowing magic. You know, so that the background also doesn't become too static. That they themselves become um, powerful. That he has to cast like a light magic to repel.
Hmm. Cool ideas, cool image. Think one thing Sayat can also benefit from is keeping in mind a few basic tricks like take the contrast down when you go further into the image so that there's not as high contrast as in your foreground. Same with the saturation of the colors. The character in the foreground can have these nice bright and saturated blues even while going in the background they become more desaturated, and that way you can really set apart your foreground and your background.
Yeah,
And I think that's a major improvement from the last image, last challenge already. It's really well applied in this image too.
yeah, definitely.
You could benefit from applying that a little bit more, really separating all the objects into different planes and then giving them the right values and the right contrast and the right saturation and this same sharpness. That way you can really convey depth and foreground background really well.
Mm, definitely. Right, what do you say? Are we finished with Sayart?
I would think so. It's coming together really well, I think. Good stuff.
Right. I will save it.
And again, really cool to see all the different takes on it. Everybody has his or her own ideas with these kind of things. Always
Yeah.
fun to see.
Yeah, it's really cool to see, like you said, the interpretation. It's very nice. Oh, who's this? All right, so it became, this is Kuru.
Mr. Bonka, there was that one, and the last that was the sketches from Kuru, and there is also a final image from Kuru.
Yeah, so the sketches I think were really cool.
Hmm.
He really chased silhouettes, and I think he even had one more when he did all the thumbnail studies. I think they are originating from these as well. If I'm not mistaken, he did a bunch of those as well. Let me see.
I think I picked most of them off the Discord, or I might have overlooked one.
No, it was really early on, but I might be mistaken. Um, Let me just scroll up and see. Scrolling. I can show the screen. Scrolling.
Scrolling, right.
Uh-huh. With these thumbnails, right? Okuru did those. Let's see. He started these silhouettes. So if I'm not mistaken, those are the ones he.
That's a previous challenge already. I think we've got them all.
No, but these were from. He had already started when
Ah,
he
okay, I see.
the old challenge was still going. So I think these thumbnails were result. These were the result of that, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I think so. Like if you look at number two, I think number two is that thing
Mm-hmm.
potentially. I don't know. We'll see what Kula says. Anyways, I think the thumbnails, in general, they're good. I think the gorilla um, beast is a little bit. The shapes are a little bit too careful. Like they're not like strong enough. Like he should have tried to push the shapes um, a lot more so that when we see them we can get the rhythm uh, stronger, so that there's not a lot of rounded shapes that are carefully added. So that it's important to have a strong shapes to look at. And if it's too much subtlety and not enough expressive lines or shapes, it's easy to just become too soft, and you really need to look hard to see the details that you might need to appreciate. So if you push the shapes early, then all the subtleties that you add on top will just make it stronger. And a lot of times people struggle with that kind of strength in shapes to make them stand out.
Because you basically want to try and make it as correct as possible, and that kind
Yeah,
of prevents you a little bit from experimenting or looking at weirder angles or stronger angles.
yeah, exactly. I think what this uh, monster up in the corner is a good example of pushing shapes. Uh, you can see how the rhythm is constantly flowing differently throughout the arms. and it becomes a lot of strength in them.
It gives him more character, like he's kind of sneaking forward or leaping ahead. Basically, it's what.
Yeah, but the variations of them, they are wider, but uh, I don't think they're strong enough. You know, like if you're gonna add some fur, make it feel like patchy fur, uh, and so it's not so, again, not so subtle. Make sure that you get the message across as well as possible. And if you want, you know, like give him a third eye, uh, maybe you need to play with contrast around it so that it really sticks out, and the other eyes as well, probably. It's all about like readability and getting the point across, but it's also a balance act of not going too far, you know, of over expressing, making all the shapes like like crazy big shapes, and then it won't be any good either. It's a balancing act of finding a good range of big, medium, and small shapes that enhance each other in how you read it. And most of the times when you struggle is when you have too many medium shapes or not enough large and small. Like this gorilla type character is mostly just medium-sized shapes, the size of the bicep, scattered across the character. Like all the distances are the same across the character, and doesn't make it interesting to look at.
So more shape variation, basically.
Yeah, definitely. And there's just too many the same size of everything. And that's when you find a good design is when you can play around with those, like on the guy up there, the rhythm, there's a big fat part like dreadlock cake over there, and then smaller and smaller, and then a bigger, and it creates this stronger rhythm. So let's find. I think this is his final, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Kilrathi, it is passenger 74 who's the second man.
Dennis is the name.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome.
Right, so I think this is really cool. I think,
Yeah, last minute entry, big surprise.
yeah. The things I really appreciate is the blur on the parrot flying up. It I know it looks like just a chromatic aberration, but it works quite well regardless. Um, One thing though, which I think would still be nice to see changes on, is keep pushing the transitions of one light or one color to the other. So it's just not so one dimensional. Like he has started doing it. Like you can see it. Let me undo what I did and try to zoom in. The resolution doesn't allow really, but you can see like there's blue, and then there's it's like cyan almost, or grayer blue. Well, I'm color dodging, so it's not going to be the correct color which I picked. But yeah, so what's cool with that is that it creates more complexity and it makes it come alive a lot more. and it's very important in images like this, you know, like splash screens and so on, which this leans towards. Uh, is they like you have to have the eye wander around and enjoy um, all the details, and it's easy to under deliver on that, and it's very hard to make sure that all the decisions you're making are the right ones that takes the picture, you know, into the right direction. And using color dodge on top of gradients towards the end is a great way to subtly enhance what you already established. And I tend to always use it in goes. Like I paint the painting up, I give it some color dodge treatment, and then I continue painting on it. And then at some point I give it more color dodge, uh, not like over the whole image, but at chosen locations, so that you can like make it more complex. Because you could paint all the subtle changes, but it's so much more difficult and takes so much more time. And if you choose the right color to color dodge with at the correct value, you can easily get some very good results.
Man, looking at the image because it was recently posted, it's new to me as well. I have to say, I really like how there's these three different animals in the spirits, and the shaman down below, good on the thirds and the focal point there. It's
Mm,
really like the framing around him as well. It's kind of like you're pulled around and then downwards you'll see the shaman basically looking up. Very cool perspective.
yeah.
The one thing that irks me a little bit is that the bird character, the one on the right, is really looking off screen basically, and it's kind of like cut off. I would feel there is something else happening on the right side of the image basically, and I think maybe flipping him or having the head turn inwards back to the shaman again
Mm,
uh, could really help, because now I really have the feeling that I need to look outside of the image on the right side basically.
yeah. Yeah, that's I completely agree.
It's a really cool way to. I can understand space wise that he wanted to show all the different spirits, and that worked out really well, I think. But I think the bottom one, yeah, kind of suffers from going out of the screen and not being involved in the scene. It's more like those other two are more concerned with the shaman, and that bird is kind of like, I got some other thing that's getting catching my attention.
Yeah, completely agree. So I'm doing a quick mashup just to kind of direct the head back inwards. But
Really,
obviously, yeah, go
sorry.
ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say I really like the color combinations and brightness, liveliness of the painting a lot. It's really cool stuff.
Yeah, it's very nice. It shows a lot of promise, and like I said, with more like subtle pushes and making what he has already established more complex and together. I think this picture could be really impressive. You can even have the show the, I assume it's the gorilla, show the gorilla's legs, uh, like he's jumping.
Oh yeah, that's cool. Using that extra space.
Mm. Or however he wants it. So at least now the bird is looking back into the painting and we have a continuation. I think that would probably be better is for the I'm gonna sneeze.
1, 2, 3.
There we go. Is
Bless you.
cheers. It's the eyes. They are the same color as the bonfire or the background, and because people always want to look at faces, and the fact that the eyes are the same color as the background, for me at least, makes me not think about the eyes being eyes but holes. So I was thinking you should probably change the color of them so that they have the blue spirit color, and so that they don't become the fire underneath. But I do understand the problem that causes that they are coming from the fire. So I was thinking a good way to show it would be showing more clearly clear transitions from the spirits down to the fire.
I was thinking maybe using some of the purple in their eyes or something. You know that the source is kind of bright and pinkish and reddish, and that could be reflected in their eyes maybe to show that they stem from that source, basically.
Mm. Oh, even more than.
Really like how that changed the image, by the way, with the bird looking in and that wing going to the outside. Really
Mm.
cool stuff. Kind of gives it a cool foreshortening feel that way.
Yeah, with the splash art and things like that, it's very important to try to think about dynamics, like showing a sense of scale or motion or depth.
Just for myself, I've heard the term before, splash art, but where is it specifically used? What is a splash art image, basically?
Usually it's a loading screen
Hmm.
in games, or like a menu picture in a game. Like League of Legends uses a lot of splash art. It's like in their game they animate all the splash art, so it becomes like a moving illustration that's very complex and detailed and dynamic. It's not just an illustration. It's really like pushing the envelope on all aspects.
Kind of one overview what the player can expect in the next level or something. Or
Yeah, kind of. But if we, I can just Google. Um, Let me see. League of Legends splash art. It's not really like what to expect from the level. It's just a really cool image showing the character of the game or scenario of the game.
hmm
So here's like a splash art from League of Legends. And as you can see, it's like highly detailed illustration.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like here's another one. So it's very dynamic, and the creator has had to put all the effects on one layer and the character on another layer so that it can be moved and animated.
I
And
see.
and
Usually very dynamic images. Yeah.
yeah, and also it would be using a UI on top, you know, like login
Mm-hmm.
options and things like that. So it's like a dynamic illustration or wallpaper almost would probably be a
Or like a background for a website or a micro site or that kind of stuff.
yes, yeah, like Kilrathi says, it's like about presentation, gearing you up for the game.
Yeah, cool. I heard the term before, but it was like what really defines a splash image.
Mm,
Always interesting to find that out. All the different appliances of their artwork.
yeah, yeah. But I think Kuru, again, like most of the people this time around, really stepped up their game.
Hmm. Yeah, he just dropped it right before the deadline. I was like, oh wow, that's a way to make a deadline. Like, hey, wait, I got something.
Yeah, it's really cool image. I think definitely worth trying to finish.
Hmm. Yeah, the guys participating in the challenges are slowly building up some good portfolio pieces. They're the smart ones.
And I think what's missing also, like I like all the effects, but I think there are too many effects coming out of the fire. Um, I think it loses a little bit of rhythm. Same with Sayart. The they just went all over the place. His spherical magic, and I think the same for Kuru would be to would better to try to show the source much clearer and not having too many over what's it called sections going over each other, and so that we can see also probably what would be better is a swirl of sorts so that we can see like how they come up towards us.
While you're doing that, I'm also thinking that the shaman could perhaps use a little bit of a light as well. Maybe even a complementary light, like a blue light again or something.
Mm,
Because now he kind of, and on first glance, you could kind of think that it's another swirl or a little light spot over there. Like
yeah.
maybe a light in his staff or something, or something that sets him apart, or as the initiator of the scene could make him pop out a little bit more.
Hmm. I added some blue into his shadow. And I think the bird's feather is I get it why it's there, but it becomes a little bit too close to him and in the curve of the magic. So I would probably have it somewhere further up, maybe intersecting with the bird, so we understand it's the part of the bird rather than a part of the shaman. And then have like clearer FX uh, placements, you know, so that we get the sense of almost like in camera sparkles and things like that. You know, that some are out of focus, some are motion blurred, uh, to help with to guide the scene.
And also kind of unifies it more, makes it less of an above and below, but more like integrated, where
Mm,
even above you, you see some sparkles or some effects that originate from the bottom, basically.
yeah.
It's always good when you have like one color very dominant in one area to use that color in little areas on other places of the image, kind of to unify it all.
Yeah.
Not to have like one real purple spot or one real blue spot. It's nice to mix that up a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I will answer Kuru's question, and yeah, of course, Kuru, I will post paint overs. I will post all paint overs on Discord.
And on top of that, I can announce that I will be collecting all the entries and the paint overs, and those will be compiled on a nice page which you guys can look back to in the future. That's in the work at the moment.
That's fantastic.
So then everybody can basically see what kind of challenges there were and what entries and how Bjorn overpainted them,
Mm,
possibly even with some steps there, so people can really see the progress and the thought process of everybody. I think that could
mm,
be an interesting thing to look back at the challenges and also see people's progress that way.
yeah, yeah, definitely. It's a good idea.
Hello, Igor. He's asking familiar voice. Yeah.
Mm. Yes. So here's the paint over. I think we're done with Kuru.
Yep. Good stuff. Definitely an image he should finish. Take
Yeah.
into his portfolio.
Tibor is asking if we have given him critique, but I don't remember Tibor posting anything.
Yeah, I think he did. The black and white image.
Oh, all right. There we go.
And he is right in time for the crit. I read in the chat. So
Yeah, exactly. So Kuru is finished. There we go. There's Tibor's.
I still see cools.
Ice coming.
There it is.
It's just like 30 seconds later. So it's a demon. They are sacrificing a baby.
First up, I want to say I really like the style. For me, it's kind of like a mixture between the Dishonored and Dark Souls kind of vibe, basically.
Mm,
Really, really cool.
yeah.
Very original character design. Really digging that mask he has.
So they're offering the baby. Yeah, I think for me, I'm having some issues with the narrative. I think a general good idea is to show the action before or after, never during. You know, so now we don't know because it's during the action, right? We don't know if he's giving them the baby or they are giving him. Like if the baby would still be uh, like on the platter, we would think like, oh, why the fuck is the baby on a platter? Like, why are they serving the monster a baby? You know, it becomes a completely different.
Well, now it's a question like, is he delivering or taking it, basically?
Mm, but in this way, he's just kind of moving back with the baby. You know, if he would take the baby, we could probably place him in a different way, have a stronger meaning. You know, he does take it carefully in his hands, but he's also standing in a pose which is not, you know, careful. You know, he could take go down on a knee, and you know, like uh, kneeling with a knee and carefully taking the baby. That would be a lot more uh, friendly in that sense. Now he's kind of battle ready stance while he's carefully holding the baby, which is kind of uh, going against each other.
Hmm.
So I think, like, let's go with Tibor's original posing for the sake of it. Uh, I think one thing that is again a little bit like who was it now? Mr. Panka. Ah, that edge of canvas bullshit. Uh, is the third point perspective. Like, if you want to show scale, you should always have like a third point in height, so that we see the columns in the background become smaller, and always also show, you know, like that things are, we're looking up at the ellipse if you want to give something sense of scale.
Imposing things are in the 3-point perspective, kind of also same rule for buildings, basically. If you really want to make a strong, imposing building that really feels like a massive building that you're looking up to, it's also really recommended to use that 3-point perspective.
Yeah. Oh, and Tibor says the idea was that the demon is giving them a baby. Right. Then I think that they should probably deal stand differently. They should probably you not be sad. You know, the woman on the left is like has the pose of crying, while
The characters are kind of submissive in their
yeah,
pose.
the classic like I bring you gift pose. So that might be something that has to change if you wanted to make it like the demon is giving them the baby. One thing that comes to mind would be to not have the. I mean, the woman can be kneeling, but not have it in a platter. And you know the classic, um, like open arms, um, pose, like that they want the baby, rather than having it on a platter, which is a bit odd. Thanks for the hosts, by the way, Master77 and Seisne and all the other wonderful people.
Yeah, good stuff. It's getting busy.
Much appreciated. And I think having her look up instead of looking down, receiving the baby, uh, you know, tells a different story. And I added some smoke, more smoke in the background to highlight the characters a little bit more. What were you gonna say?
I think for me the character on the left is a little bit confusing. It's kind of like um, what's his or her purpose. I know that
Mm,
the big character is um, taking or receiving a giving a gift or receiving a gift, but the character on the left confuses me a little bit. Maybe it's a child already, so they already have a child and they get another child. And I was thinking that maybe a character on the right side, also to create somewhat of a foreground element, could be like maybe the father looking how the mother receives the child, or all the way around, or that kind of stuff. Where
yeah, yeah, that's true. Also, I think for the sake of narrative, the white baby will be received by people in white clothes, while the demon is black but has white elements in it. I think that'll strengthen the narrative as well of how we're receiving uh, the story. Like the white
makes
baby,
makes the foreground instantly more innocent somehow, kind of like
yeah, and the woman can still actually uh, could still be there, but looking up and not having sad, being sad. And she could even maybe like help her, like support her maybe.
it's funny how that works, right? You move a couple of pixels in the direction you would actually move ahead, and suddenly the story changes.
Yeah, could have other more of these pillars in the background, but more subtle, so that we understand that it goes further in. And I'm not sure about the crazy horns. I don't think they're helping guide the eye that much. Probably would be better if they would loop back towards the head, because it's easy to direct the eye out away from the important part when doing lots of curves. We could see that with Sayart's.
Hmm.
All his swirly bits were confusing when they were not properly.
And just like with Kuro's image as well, where the bird was flipped to bring the attention back to the focal point again.
Yeah, definitely. So now
I
we,
also
yeah, go
yeah,
ahead,
carry on.
please, Dennis.
I was
Please.
thinking some foreground element, strong dark foreground element pointing towards either the characters or the main demon could also really work, like a branch or something to create some more depth. Because for me, there is now kind of like two and a half planes basically with
Yeah,
uh,
I had a different idea how to solve that. I didn't want to do just that because it would be the reason why is I think it would be a complication for the image. Like, don't want to obstruct anything
hmm
from the narrative, and I think by obscuring something, you're also hiding it, right? And this, I don't think that would be the best, probably the best solution to it. So my idea was just add more depth in the back.
hmm
So what I'm doing is adding like more torches like that, like as if there's a path or something going down, like they're lighting candles for him,
Hmm.
and in that way we can have deal with the depth that way.
Instead of pushing the foreground, creating more depth in the background.
Yeah, but obviously a little bit, like you suggested, some sort of foreground elements, a little bit, but not not like a branch coming in over the image. Um,
Really like there's something really ominous but also peaceful about the big character. I really like that off balance somehow. He's
mm,
kind of scary, but he's also in this really yeah.
it's a cool image.
Hmm.
One thing, if we look at the character design, the shoulders with the spine is a little bit confusing. It's too much of the same size. So I would probably try to vary it, but also play with light differently so that we give the arms a little bit more light, while we push the spine back, so that the relationship becomes clearer of what's forward, what's behind. I don't think I have any more direct comments that would change things too dramatically. I could continue painting and enhancing what's already been started, but I don't think that's necessary.
I'd really be interested to see this one in color as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think that could be a really cool thing. Um,
Tibor should definitely look into finishing that one in color. There's a lot of cool things and elements you can play with, basically. Light and shadows with the lamps going in the back, and you might even play with some light on the mask of the beast.
mhm. He could the beast could even have lights hanging in the horns
Yeah, it's also a cool one.
to tie it together. Like they turn lights on the floor. The monster has lights up in the horns, to connect. Maybe it becomes too much like Christmas, but
It's only
yeah,
February, but
yeah, but like Kilrathi said, it makes it feel more peaceful and definitely removes it from that menacing aspect to it. So if that's something that he wants, that could definitely be. I mean, it definitely makes it kinder with lights on it. So that's the original. And the paint over. Any comments for Tibor?
I think you covered them all. Let's see, maybe a little bit more contrast on the rocks, I was thinking, because they're kind of faded out, like the trees in the background. So some high contrast, or maybe some small cracks or something with some more detail shown over there because they're more in the front could help a little bit. But again, not too much to take away from the other elements. Other than that, I say I would love to see it in color, and curious how we will finish it.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. All right.
Good stuff.
Definitely good stuff. I mean, there's definitely room to like nitpick and keep pushing things, but I think we suggested enough that if he would start doing the changes, he would probably see more of the things to improve on.
Hmm. One thing flows into the other, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, really cool entries again. Very different and all very original.
Mm. So Marius Bota, we do a challenge, 2 week challenge on my Discord. The link is underneath, uh, where there's a kind of story theme and people can do the stuff. And every second week, me and passenger Dennis, we go through them and give them paintovers and critiques. And this particular one is by Tibor. Well, I don't want to butcher his surname.
Sulyok.
Sulyok sounds kinda Turkish, but no idea. Marius Bota, yeah, it's an extra stream. It's for the peoples.
Normally we do these on Saturdays, but because Bjorn was traveling to Sweden, we did it on Monday as an exception.
All right, and the last but not least, Arms
Da-da-da-da.
Ronoi. I think he really, like, compared to the last time, really we're playing with patience here and detailing, but not over detailing, which is really nice to see.
I think he incorporated a really lot of the tips from the last paint overlays. I think that really shows well in this image.
Mm.
Remember, the last one was with the virus in the park, which was really very busy and massive color palette, very bright, very colorful, which worked really well for that image. But I also think it's really cool to see how we unified the colors more and worked in a smaller color palette this way.
Mm.
Really good example of what I mentioned in the previous one with the extra contrast and details in the foreground elements, and then details, less details in the midground with the dude standing on the mushrooms,
Mm-hmm.
and uh, even less details and contrast with the houses all the way in the background. That's the really good indication of the different planes and the depth in the image, basically.
Yeah, and listening to feedback,
Hmm.
which is great.
Yep. Yeah, there's more unified colors and the elements in the scene make more sense. It also really shows, like from the brief, the village and the summoned spirits and the villagers making their way out of there. It's yeah, good story elements going on as well.
Mm. I think the painting, it has some issues. Um, it's a little bit confusing. Uh, I don't think it's as crazy as the previous entry. So he's definitely been way more careful and thoughtful and done big improvements. There's just certain things I think that is affecting the scene, the painting, in a way where it could be possibly be better. And I think it's about how he uses certain colors to transition between what's being lit and in shadow. It's a little bit too much like recipe, like all the mushrooms are treated the same way. All the big mushrooms in the foreground or in the midground are treated the same way, and then all those six ones going back are treated in one specific way. And I think what causing the picture to not work is that kind of one recipe treatment way, and like all the mushrooms are shaded the same way, even though they are in different angles towards the light source.
I think that might have a little bit to do with the feedback as well, where he's trying to put everything in the same value range and then kind of applies the same technique for each element in the scene, where
Yeah,
some more variation in that, like one mushroom catches a little bit more light than the other, or it's in the shadow of another one, perhaps creates
yeah, exactly.
somewhat more interesting variations.
Yeah, a bit more complexity without being like overtly complicated. However you can explain that, but the mushrooms themselves are cool. Uh, they're placed nicely. It's just that you can make that relationship more, not maybe not necessarily more complex. That might sound wrong, but just make them more of a reason to be there, more of a behavior. You know, let them have colors more, light light them in a specific way more. Just so that you run the whole gauntlet of trying to make them unique and interesting in their painting, and giving them a reason to be there.
I think it also stems from one step in his work process, which I thought was really cool to see, where he kind of had the line drawing and then made all the 3D shapes visible, basically. So
Mm,
the framework around it. And I think what happened is that he used that line drawing as a very strong guide, which really helped to render out the mushrooms well and all the other elements really well. Um, but I think what happened is that he rendered them out individually and kind of lost the oversight of the entire scene, where
mm-hmm.
um, that's not a bad thing to do, but then indeed don't forget to mix things up a little bit. If you use the same rendering technique and or the same color, the same kind of finish for each element in the scene, try to break it up a little bit, like Bjorn is doing now, with some color variations or maybe some shadows or that kind of stuff.
Yeah, just yeah. Go ahead.
One thing that also confused me a little bit, but that's for later on. It's not about these values things and everything, but it's the white lines with the spirits in the background.
Mm,
Really has me looking all over the place. What's happening with those lines, basically, and I don't really think they add much to the story. I think it's clear that the spirits are haunting the village, and that the villagers are fleeing from it. Some spirits are also chasing them already. All those story elements are clear to me, but the lines is kind of distracting me a little bit. And also, again, like in the previous example, pointing me outwards of the image, basically.
mm. I think the idea is really cool. Like the way he's done it, almost like the creatures themselves create these beams, almost like searchlights or spears. I think it's a cool idea. It makes them feel dangerous, but the placement of them, I think, is a little bit unfortunate.
Hmm.
And the fact that a lot of them they cross each other and guide the eye towards places where maybe you don't want to see. Like this guy's spear is obviously pointing down towards there, to the monster, uh, but then you have the shape of that line that goes down and helps, but then you have a line that goes up against it, and then a line that goes down, and it just comes too much like a zigzag,
Hmm.
and doesn't really help the the painting, um, when
Yeah, I think
in readability.
The idea works, but indeed it's a line direction that needs some
Yeah,
fixing indeed. And Holmes mentions that he used the wiring indeed, and I think that that's a really good idea to get an understanding of 3D shapes and where your light would fall, and to really define the shapes as well. But
yeah,
don't stick to it too much. Always work on your individual element in the scene, but don't lose the oversight of the entire scene. Try to think, where is something in the scene, or is it closer by or further away? Is it maybe catching different light from the other elements in the scene? That way you can put some variation in there.
yeah, and also lift out parts. You can do it a little bit more blunter, so that you're not separating things, object by object, but group by group as well. Um, and that way you can create quite, interesting parts to look through. And then when you look at each part or group, you'll starting to see all the information that's within the group.
Hmm.
And
And
it's
maybe
a
also to add a little bit more scale and depth in the scene. You could actually maybe copy one or two of those big mushrooms and put them way back with those houses and make them a little bit smaller. So you see that it's really an environment where all those mushrooms freely roam, basically. And
yeah,
that way you can also, yeah, add with the sense of scale a little bit. If you have a recognizable repeated shape in the scene, that really translate the scale of things really well.
yeah. I think maybe the idea is that those six in the background are,
Hmm.
but then it needs to be better, stronger communicated that that's the fact.
You could actually be really lazy and just copy one of those. That's a really easy trick to make the shape recognizable again. The eye won't really see that it's a copy, but it will recognize the same shape again.
Mm,
And then lower the opacity and uh, the contrast on that a little bit.
yeah,
Just
I'm
a
just gonna
bit.
paint away a bit.
But again, just like with the previous image, I really like all the storytelling elements in Holmes' images. It's always
Mm,
fun to look around. I really was looking into all the houses in the background. They all have their little designs as well. It's really well thought out. Always the images.
yeah, it's a good story. I was thinking the houses they could use a little bit more complexity, like chimneys and maybe some more just silhouettes of houses in purple in the background. So it feels more like a town rather than just a line of houses.
Second and third layer, basically. Maybe a big church or something.
Yeah, exactly. Some more information there, so it's not just a row of houses. I think that's the most important to take away from it. It's just kind of populate it a little bit more. But the houses are cool. They're definitely unique. They give me the feeling of Cat in the Hat with Mike Myers, Dr.
Yeah.
Zeus.
Bit of that crooked, weird looking vibe to them.
Yeah,
Basically.
yeah, exactly.
I think that maybe brightening up the path in the background could also show that it's really a path coming from out of the town they're escaping from, kind of like a road they're following.
Mm, I think also it needs a different color so that it stands out more.
Maybe some more warmth in the foreground, the right corner with some warmer colors, and then the
Hmm.
background would be those cooler colors.
Yeah, so my idea is that we increase the temperature of the path a bit so that we understand that it's going,
Hmm.
they're running on the path.
Creates a nice complementary color there as well with the pinks and blues, basically.
Yeah, I think they are a little bit too um, no, what's it setting?
I only now see the expression on the face of the little boy. By the way, it's also really cool. Like
Yeah,
he's really, yeah, surprised and not happy in this situation, and he seems very precious and valuable the way his
yeah,
parents are rescuing him.
yeah, definitely.
It's a real cool, unique, comical style Holmes has in his work, I think.
Yeah, I think it's very recognizable, which
Yeah,
is
he
a
should
very
definitely
good.
exploit that and stick to it.
Mhm. Just giving some stronger color on the skin tones so that they stand out more, so that they don't fall back to the kind of mushiness of the environment. And just kind of lifting them a bit from the blues with some warm, subtle color shifts. It's a great expression on that kid.
Yep. Holmes is writing in the chat, he's saying to him, "You messed it up yet again."
Nah, he's not telling you that, Holmes. You did good this time.
Yep, I agree.
One other thing is this tentacle sticking up, the background. That's green. It wasn't helping the image. You don't need it there. Uh, Another thing that feels weird is the guy standing on the mushroom. I don't think it's needed for the story. Like, he doesn't add anything, right? They are fleeing from the monsters.
And he's kind of like a stranger who's kind of like, "Hey, there's some monsters running around here. Let's hunt those." With a story of his own, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And it's almost also suggests that it's deliberate that they're running this way. Because why otherwise would he be standing on a mushroom with a spear in full armor gear? You know? and then it reduces the fear of the people running away because it looks deliberate. Probably Ohms had a specific idea about it, but I don't think it's needed. This guy with a spear doesn't really add anything for me. I think without him, it will be one like story point less, and I think what's left is gonna have way more impact than including the guy with a spear.
Spear guy can make a comeback in his next challenge entry.
Yeah, I get it, Holmes, that he's like trying to spare them, but I don't think it's needed for the story. Yeah, Larib is talking that as well, that Ohms is really putting effort into it, and he is definitely. It's really cool to see that the push.
And he's also benefiting from it because the progress is obvious.
Hmm.
I think now looking at it a little bit longer, the mountain coming from the right side, top right, kind of intersects with the mushroom and above the boy's head. I would consider indeed making the mushroom a little bit bigger or cutting the mountain off and showing a little bit maybe of the skyline behind the boy's head so that stands out a little bit more and
Yeah,
you have
lifts out.
less of a diagonal slope with the mountain, which makes it kind of seem somewhat unrealistic, and also it makes it seem further away than it really is, basically.
Yeah, good point. Thanks, Julio. It's the two guys with the with the deep voices speaking at the same time.
Yeah, we should cater to a different audience. Like, hey, women, let's do
Yeah.
painting and relationship talk. Come on, sort it out.
So who's gonna be Dr. Phil? Who, who can grow the nastiest pedophile mustache?
Why you think I don't have a camera yet? I don't have any shaving equipment in the house.
Oh yeah, you broken hand. Yeah. Yeah, exactly, Ohms. I think it becomes a lot more scarier this way because they are out of help, right? And I think it's great that the mother is eyeing uh, out of the frame. The father is looking back at the frame, and the kid is just freaking out. One thing, though, I think um, to sell um, the action is that he's almost standing on the ground, even though he's being hoisted. I think what you need to do is just give him a little bit more motion. And by the way, Dennis, Lou Rib needs story time from the hand therapist.
Story time from the hand therapist.
Mhm.
Mhm. Well, she was really handy and therapeutic.
Fantastic.
Keep it at that.
Change of topic. Yeah, so uh, give the kid more motion because it felt like he was standing on the railing. I don't think it. I think it could be done a little bit in a way where it feels like he doesn't have any grip, right? He's just kind of being hoisted up over the fence.
Yeah, like Oms is saying in the chat as well. I think it's really helped the story to remove that that spear dude, yeah.
Yeah.
Now it's really like the spirits are haunting the city, and those are the spirits in the background are bothering the villagers. And two of those creatures escaped, which our heroes have to run away from.
Mm-hmm. I think also possibly it's a little bit too much purple around the characters. I do like the purple, but I think it detracts a little bit as well when it goes so high up. I think it acts really well as a focal point, um, and a thing that helps to separate the people. It needs to be subdued a bit at places. So
Well,
we
I
get
also think maybe some small lines in the grass in front with that purple could also
yeah.
help to put the focus on that area a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, thinking about all the entries, I think that this time around all the images really had their own unique story. It's good stuff from everybody. Everybody really had an original take on the story. It's not like just drawing one character or everything. Everybody really put it into a scene with plenty of story elements to discover.
Mm. Yes. Those lines in the sky are interesting.
Like the grass as well, all the different shades in there.
Yeah.
With it like this mysterious glowing grass
It's very
landscape.
pretty. Very arms.
Would actually be curious to see Holmes make an underwater scene or something. I think he would be well suited for that, with all kinds of fishes and strange
Yeah.
organic things.
Yeah, so I think I don't have any more drastic changes. I mean, I could continue painting and tweaking and things like that, but I think the biggest changes are we've talked about.
Yep, no points here either. I think it's really good progress and very cool to see how the image came together. It's really good to see the thinking process. And, it all makes sense. Works towards if you spend a lot of time planning and preparing, doing some different iterations, you can actually end up with a really cool final image, like almost shown.
Hmm. Yeah, I think Arms has a tendency to go very like crazy with color, though. Like he needs to learn to harmonize a little bit more and choose where to punch up the color and where to subdue it rather than have objects that has the strong color. you know, the like, just think about it compositionally, like where would it be better to have stronger color rather than which objects in my scene should have strong colors. There's a difference there. I think in general, I mean, this time you did it a lot better, but compared to last time you did it a lot more
Hmm.
by just having objects themselves being all over the palette. And I think this time you really tried to do it differently, which is cool. Just keep in mind that um, the objects themselves don't need to be colorful. You can add color to the scene, and in that way direct the eye more in a more efficient way. Uh, I love the blues and purples, by the way, in the sky, and the flying monster goldfish thing, bear insect or whatever they're called. But the colors there are really beautiful, especially in this corner here. I find them to be really, really pretty.
Yep, agree on that one.
And the strong, strong purple, like in the cloud over there. It's really, really beautiful. And that's how I would love you to deal with all colors. Uh, that control sense of where to punch up the saturation, where to subdue it, uh, where to throw in some very high accent or a high saturation color to help guide the eye around. It's uh, it's really beautiful.
Job well done. Wonderful.
Definitely excited to see the next bunch of um, entries.
As we speak, posting the new challenge. So everybody can get busy right away again, right after the stream. Let's see. One, two, three. Check, check, check. And yes, the new challenge has been posted.
That's great. All
And like
right.
I mentioned, there's a nice page in A which will be much easier to find the challenges and the rules and all that kind of stuff. And I was actually hoping that I had that a little bit more finished, but I've been really busy the past month, and I'm hoping to get a lot of stuff done over the next days. So I think around the next time I should really, really have the stuff up and going for people to check out. So look forward to that, and looking forward to more people entering the challenges as well.
Yeah,
Be interested
definitely.
to see what the other Discord members are up to.
Exactly. So thanks everyone for coming. Uh, Thanks for participating in the challenge and the classic, what everyone says on YouTube, smack that like button.
Those follows,
Yeah, click subscribe, blah blah blah
get
crap.
those links out there.
Yeah, no, but it does help uh, for the big picture, what the goal is for all of this. So any follow or share or shit like that does build up, you know, especially if you want to convince someone to sponsor you as a company. And the more people that you have, you can track that pay attention to what we're doing, will definitely help to convince them to give you people free licenses to programs and shit like that. And so it's the goal is to kind of build up everything. And that being said, there is a donate button now, if that is what you're into. You are not obligated at all, but if you wanna, you can. Thanks all for the what's it called, effort, and see you tomorrow morning.
Okie dokie.
Thanks,
Have a good
Dennis.
one.
Thanks,
Get
Dennis.
creative. Until
All
next
right.
time.
And I'm gonna quit the Google Hangout, so bye, Dennis.
Arrivederci.
And bye, everyone else. Here comes the outro.